Hi, I am Neha, and today I will be annotating the poem The Fish by Elizabeth Bishop. So, the first thing that comes into mind after reading the title is that the poem is obviously going to talk about a fish, but Elizabeth chose the title The Fish instead of simply a fish or fish. So, it means that the word the has a specific meaning in the title, which could be that probably the fish is like the fish has something special in it, or it's not an ordinary fish. So as you can look, while I read the poem, the entire poem is completely free verse, so it does not have a consistent rhyme, and it is based on just one stanza. So let's start reading the poem. I caught a tremendous fish and held him beside the boat, half out of water, with my hook fast in a corner in his mouth. So there is alliteration in this stanza with held him, half, and hook. And over here, it's also an end stop. So there are not any words that I have to mention the meaning of it. It's pretty clear and simple. He didn't fight. He hadn't fought at all. Why didn't the fish fight? That's a good question, because when we take a fish out of water, it starts dancing because it's not in our control because when it gets out of water. So that's a pretty good question that it didn't fight. He hung a grunting weight, battered and venerable and homely. So battered, in this sense, I wrote the meanings already so that I wouldn't waste time. Battered means injured by repeated punishment, and venerable is honored, respect because of age and wisdom. So this can be a clue that maybe the fish is like very old. So yeah, and homely means pretty unattractive, like unattractive by appearance. Here and there, his brown skin hung in strips like ancient wallpaper. Oh, this is a simile because the poet is comparing the brown skin with wallpaper. And its pattern of darker brown was like wallpaper, another simile. Shapes like full-blown roses, stained and lost through age. Like full-blown roses, another simile. And stained and lost through age. So lost through age is another example and an evidence that the fish is old. He was speckled with barnacles, and barnacles is small sea creature with a shell that sticks very tightly. Fine rosettes of limes. Rosette is rose-shaped and infested with tiny white sea lice, and underneath 2 or 3 rags of green weed hung down. So I just noticed while reading it that the poet mentioned some colors: white, brown, green. I think that these colors have a pretty significant meaning, and we'll find it out when we'll just read the poem. And also by the description, with this one, rags of green hung down, he was speckled, it looks like the fish is very ugly and not kind of in a good form. While his gills were breathing in the terrible oxygen, the frightening gills, oh, that's an occasion pause. Fresh and crisp with blood that can cut so badly. Another one. I thought of the coarse, and coarse means rough or loose. White flesh color, packed in like feathers. Another simile. And in this sentence, there is assonance. The big bones and the little bones, the dramatic reds and blacks, another 2 colors, of his shiny entrails. So entrails means organs, internal organs when removed. And the pink swim bladder like a big peony, another simile, which the poet is comparing the swim bladder with peony, and peony is actually a plant. I looked into his eyes, which were far larger than mine. So if we see at the sentence, I looked into his eyes, which were far larger than mine, it's kind of a rhyme. Like if we go, like if we speak it continuously or like with a fluent, accent. So eyes and mine are kind of rhyming, but more the poet is comparing the eyes of the fish with her eyes, which we can say is a comparison. But shallower and yellowed, the irises backed and packed with tarnished tinfoil, seen through the lenses of old scratched isinglass. Backed and packed, rhyming words. Okay, and scratched in glass is actually a gelatin obtained from fish. They shifted a little, but not to return my stare. It was more like the tipping of an object toward the light. And stop. I admired his sullen face, the mechanism of his jaw, and then I saw, and that's a rhyme, the words are rhyming, that from his lower lip, if you could call it a lip, grim, wet, and weapon-like, hung 5 old pieces of fish line, or 4 and a wire leader, with the swivel still attached, with all their 5 big hooks grown firmly in his mouth. A green line frayed at the end where he broke it, 2 heavier lines, and a fine black thread still crimped from the strain and snapped when it broke and he got away, like metals with their ribbons frayed and wavering, a 5-haired beard of wisdom trailing from his aching jaw. So, from this to here. So this whole piece had a lot of going on. Actually, the speaker is implying that the fish is a wise old warrior, that the hooks are like a veteran's medal, which means probably the fish might survived 5 attempts on its life, so he is deserving of a reward, freedom. This raises a bigger moral issue that of the dominance of the human over the animal kingdom. The speaker holds life and death now in her hands, so what shall she do with this power? Also, one observation proves to be the tipping point that the fish has got 5 big hooks in his mouth, and they're souvenirs from previous battles with other fishermen and women, but who knows how long they've been there. And if we have a look at the literary devices, we have consonants here, still, strain, snap, and personification in these 2 rhymes, because a fish, like, it does not have wisdom, and yeah, it's a personification. And we also have colors. I just noticed, let me go back. Green, black. Yeah, these are the only 2. And also, since this is a whole sentence, we can say that this is also alliteration. Where weapon-like, wire, with, yeah. And wavering, where is it? Yeah, wavering means becoming weaker and moving in a quivering way. So I stared and stared, and victory filled up the little rented boat from the pool of bilge, and bilge is an area on the outer side of the ship, where oil had spread a rainbow around the rusted engine to the bailer rusted orange. The sun cracked towards the oarlock on their strings, the gunnels, until everything was rainbow, rainbow, rainbow. So this is repetition. And again, this sentence actually proves and is like the evidence of the symbolization of all the colors that we just highlighted. as I told you that these colors might have a significant meaning at the end, and these were symbolizing the rainbow. If we go back and look, white, dark brown, brown, reds and blacks, they might not be the colors of rainbow that they have, because rainbow do not have black and brown colors, but still they are a symbol of symbolizing the rainbow. So they're symbolization at the end. And then the pretty last sentence, and then I let the fish go. The final decision, and also a shift in the poem, that at the end the poet decided to let the fish go. But the main question is that why did the speaker let the fish go? This is one of the main questions which like everyone will have, that at the end, like, she caught the fish but then she let it go. She could have used it for her dinner or whatever, because who like sacrifices their hunger for just a fish? But this leads us to the theme that although the poet could have killed the fish, but the poet showed empathy towards the elderly fish. And by the description of the fish faced hard times, so his life, and he is a survivor. So she felt kind of successful, and we can see by the word victory that she felt successful by sacrificing her self-interest and giving a new life to the fish. There is a saying that if you show love towards God's creatures, God will gift you more. So this is actually the theme of this poem, empathy. And the tone was pretty attentive and jubilant, and the overall mood of this poem was pretty interesting and also attentive. I was very much interested, like learning more about the appearance of the fish, and it was very attentive. What I really liked about this poem is like how she mentioned all the colors, like tiny bits of clues to which led us to the rainbow. That was pretty amazing, and I think that not many people are gonna notice this, that these were actually symbols to which led us towards rainbow. So the thing that I dislike about this poem is the writing style. I mean, it could be more interesting and would sound more good if the poet wrote stanzas and used rhymes, because we noticed that these lines are not pretty much rhyming, and until a poem does not have any rhyming words and stanzas, it does not seem like a poem. But anyways, this is Elizabeth's writing style, and yeah, So, and another question which can arise is that if we look back at the poem, we can see that the poet first said that the fish was pretty unattractive by using the word homely, but later she compared it with roses and rosettes of lime, which is also almost the same thing. So a question is that why did the poet use dichotomy, which is simply like which means when we compare two things that are not similar and which are opposite in meaning. And that's what came into my mind, that I was pretty more interesting in knowing about, that she used first homely and then roses. Like, why did she do that? And of course that this was also our question, that why didn't the fish fight? Which can be the answer that because he was old and maybe tired, but still we might be looking like for why like the fish didn't fight, because like it came out of water, it was hooked with the poet's fishing rod, so it might have some movement, but it was just still.